Here's to hoping that everything works out, because I'm gonna be really mad if it doesn't. Alright, so this last week I watched a couple of new movies from this year, so I thought I would talk about them in this single video. Because I don't really have a lot to say about all of them individually, but collectively I think you can make one decent video. So let's get started. The first one I want to talk about is Mission Impossible 7. Just getting that right. Mission Impossible 7. The Mission Impossible franchise, if you don't know me, it's one of my favorite movie franchises of all time. Especially like the later ones. So basically everything since Christopher McQuarrie got involved. So Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, Fallout, especially Fallout. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. So I went in expecting to really like the movie, and I really liked the movie. I don't really know what to say that's unique to this movie. So I think I'll start with some of the flaws for the film first, which is a lot of people have already talked about this, but the movie has an exposition problem. There really is not a lot to explain. Like, the plot is not that complicated, but the movie just insists on explaining and then re-explaining and then explaining once again basically what the characters are doing and what they want. Sometimes I felt like it was really just padding along because they didn't want to just have like action sequence to action sequence to action sequence, which, you know, worked out in Fallout, so I don't know. But beyond that, the only other really problem that I had with the movie was with the villain. I didn't find him to be too compelling. His flashback with Ethan, I felt like it was just trying too hard to give him a relationship with the main character to try and do some characterization, but I didn't think it worked out. But, you know, mentor of the main character comes back and is to be like, you know, I made you who you are. It's a trope, so it's whatever. But talking about the positives though, and it's just a list of all of the action sequences from the movie. Starting with the airport scene, you know, it's less so a set piece and more so just like a thriller sequence, but it was awesome. Just all the characters in their different parts of the airport trying to chase each other down, trying to get the thing from the guy, trying to be as vague as possible. And then Benji gets his own little subplot. So it was really nice to see. From that, I think I can talk about the new additions of Haley Atwell and Palm. Forget her last name, but she was in the Guardians film. They both were really awesome. I think they both do some good work in their characterization, and they bring something new to the franchise, each of them individually. Beyond it, I think just moving on to the next sequence, like the Rome chase, it was really awesome. Can't believe it was only 15 minutes. The amount of stuff that happens in it. You know, the sort of like city chase thing is something we've seen, but the movie really does well to add on to it with like the handcuff gimmick. It makes for a fun scene. And then I can skip over some of the next stuff, but the stuff in Venice was really cool too. The alleyway fights, and just, you know, it's the Tom Cruise running scene, so of course it was awesome. But the main, I think, the draw of the main movie really is like they made a big deal out of it too, in like all the pre-shows, the trailers, and all of that was like the final like train scene, and it lives up to the hype. It was really fucking awesome. The jump when he jumps off of the cliff, there's like a silence in the sound, and you could just feel like everybody in the theater was holding their breath because like nobody like spoke or made a sound within like those 5 to 10 seconds. It was really cool. And then just the fight on the train, I think is really cool. There's a sequence where, like, you know, it's a train, it's gonna go through a tunnel, but it was really cool the way it was shot. It gave it like such a nauseating quality. But yeah, overall, I just really liked the movie. think it did everything I really wanted it to, except for the few missteps that I mentioned, and I'm really excited for the next one. The next movie I watched was Reality by Tina Sater. I don't really know how to say that name. It's adapting the arrest of Reality Winner. That's her name. The arrest of Reality Winner by the FBI after she was suspected of leaking classified documents relating to the Russian interference in the election in 2016. She adapted it from her play, which is basically just a dramatization of the transcripts. The FBI officers who arrested Reality, they were recording the whole event, and basically the whole script is just adapting almost word to word, even with all the stuttering and all that, into the film, originally the play, then now into the film. And you can hear it and you can be like, oh, that's like the gimmick of this movie, so really like, oh, that's the thing it's gonna do. But I think it adds a lot, just knowing the fact that it was like word for word. The movie even cuts back and forth a lot of times from the actual actors to the transcripts original. And I just, you hear a lot of people talk about like real dialogue, but like most movies, they don't have real dialogue most of the time because that'd be really boring. But the dialogue in this film is just, it includes all the stutters, the roundabout questions, the small talk, the interruptions that real life conversations have. And it's just awkward, frustrating, nauseating, but fascinating at the same time, that really you can't help but just focus in. I watched it last night, and I only meant to just like watch like the first opening of it because I was doing something else, and I was like, oh, I'll check it out, then I'll watch it later. I was not aware when like the hour passed. It just once you get into it, it's really, really hard to look away. And I think a lot of that can be attributed to the quality of authenticity from the script that just makes it a sort of like mesmerizing thing to listen and watch. But I think Tina Sater again, forgive me, her direction really brings a lot to bring that sort of transcript to life. And the actors are also doing a great job. Sydney Sweeney plays Reality, and she brings to life that sort of, I know what's going on here, but I'm going to pretend I'm innocent just so I'm like, I have hope that I can get away with it. She really brings that quality to it, but like the whole time, something's up with her. She doesn't try to be like, oh, I'm like dark and mysterious. Like she wears it on her sleeve. And you can tell that like the agents know it, that she knows it, and they're just trying to dance around it the whole time before they get to it. And it just that sort of like feeling that it captures was really unique, and I really, really like that fact. And the final one for the day is Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. I really don't have a lot to say on this film. This is why I really tacked this on at the end, mainly because I just think it's a good film. It does what it wants to do, which is be a fun action adventure heist film. I think the constant moving nature of the film, going from one setting to the other and constantly moving on from conversations to another one, adds to the film not feeling like a bore, which a lot of these sometimes can be. The movie continuously shakes up its status quo to keep you engaged throughout. And I think a lot of that can be attributed to the script, but also a lot of it can be attributed to the actors that bring a lot of heart to the film. The characters that they portray each brings a different angle of like a relationship to the film, but it really would not be as good as it is if the actors weren't doing as great a job as they are. I especially want to point out to Michelle Rodriguez. I think her line delivery as Holga is absolutely brilliant. I was dying laughing just at the way she says certain things. And I also think the movie was directed pretty well. There were a couple of shots in the movie and like sequences that really surprised me, and then I was like, whoa, that was actually really, really cool. So yeah, on the overall, just a really fun movie. Check it out if you want to have a good time. And yeah, that'll be all from me today. like and subscribe if you want, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.